What is a commercial tenant? A commercial tenant is a renter who uses property or real estate for business or commercial purposes. This is different from a residential tenant who rents a place to live. A commercial tenant rents a property, which may be an office space, mall, or restaurant. This is in contrast to a residential tenant who primarily rents apartments and homes. Because a commercial tenant is often a business or an organization, they are often seen as being more savvy and sophisticated than a residential tenant in the eyes of the law. Therefore, they are often afforded fewer legal protections and rights than a residential tenant. In California, the laws that govern commercial leases permit a commercial tenant to negotiate the terms of a lease with a landlord. This is allowed because California commercial lease law is based on contract principles, as well as the notion of equal bargaining power when renting to a commercial tenant. When can a commercial tenant be evicted? Since commercial tenants are seen differently than residential tenants in California, it is much easier to evict a commercial tenant than it is to evict a residential tenant. In a commercial lease in California, the covenant to pay rent supersedes all other lease terms. According to California law, even if the commercial tenant pays half the rent, the landlord may keep the payment and still legally evict them. Once an eviction notice is given to the commercial tenant, they only have 3 days to correct the violation. In addition, a California landlord may also evict a commercial tenant if they breach a condition of their lease agreement. This can be anything from altering a property or using the property in a way that is not permitted by the lease. Another important difference between residential and commercial leases is that the implied warranty of habitability does not apply to a commercial lease. This means the landlord in a commercial lease is not required to maintain suitable living conditions, since commercial real estate is not considered a dwelling. So, if the roof is leaking or a window breaks and the commercial lease does not address repairs, it will be up to the commercial tenant to fix the problem. This is also important because it means the commercial tenant cannot withhold rent payments in an attempt to force the landlord to make repairs. If they do so, the landlord can evict them. What are the steps for evicting a commercial tenant in California? The commercial eviction process in California requires a commercial landlord to complete several steps. The first step is the landlord must provide a commercial tenant with a 3-day notice. This notice is a special legal document which states that the landlord will take legal action if the tenant does not remedy the issue or violation of the lease within 3 days. This notice must include the name of the individual in violation, the monetary amount which is due, and a statement regarding the forfeiture of the lease if the tenant fails to comply. Once the commercial landlord has served the 3-day eviction notice, they must wait a full 3 days prior to evicting the tenant. This provides the commercial tenant with an opportunity to fix an issue before they are forced to vacate the premises. If a commercial tenant has not remedied the issue after 3 full days, the landlord should file an unlawful detainer complaint. Filing this complaint initiates the eviction proceedings. Once the 5 days have passed, the landlord is only required to keep the personal property of the commercial tenant for 18 days. If the commercial tenant has not claimed the property after 18 days, the landlord may dispose of the property as they see fit. In California, a commercial landlord is forbidden from taking certain actions against a commercial tenant. For example, a commercial landlord is prohibited from forcibly removing a tenant by changing the locks or removing personal property from a rented space. Instead, the landlord must follow the previously discussed process of filing an unlawful detainer or going to trial. What defenses and rights does a commercial tenant have? Commercial defenses or rights that a commercial tenant may have are provided in the terms of their lease. California laws presume that any condition that was left out of the lease was not meant to apply. Therefore, the legal defenses and commercial tenants' rights in California are limited. There are some defenses that may be available to commercial tenants in California. These can include A lack of proper notice, where a landlord fails to notify a tenant of the eviction or does not provide them the full 3 days to remedy the issue. An improper eviction, where the landlord does not follow the requirements or attempts to forcibly remove the tenant themselves. A retaliatory eviction, where the landlord attempts to convict the tenant because they rightfully complained about an issue with the property. The landlord is in breach of the lease agreement as well. Or, the landlord discriminated against the tenant based on characteristics such as race, gender, disability, or other characteristics, violating the Fair Housing Act. If a commercial tenant successfully asserts a defense, they may receive remedies. These may include legal permission to remain on the property, extended time to fix an issue, or monetary damages. Additionally, there are commercial tenant rights which may help defend against an action for eviction. These can include right to sublet and assign property, going dark rights, or the right to cancel or get a rent reduction if a shuttered business is part of a larger shopping center or strip mall. The right to certain repairs, such as water supply stubs and electrical connections. Key money prohibitions, which prohibit landlords from forcing a commercial tenant to pay extra or accept bribes in exchange for leasing coveted property, and various other rights that may be provided in a lease. Should I consult a lawyer about a commercial tenant eviction? Yes, it is essential to consult with a California real estate lawyer for any issues you may be having with a commercial tenant eviction in California. You can easily submit your case free of charge at LegalMatch.com, where it will be reviewed by pre-screened attorneys who are members of the California State Bar. LegalMatch.com will provide you with contact information and fee information for multiple attorneys. You will be able to choose the attorney who works best for you. Your attorney can review your lease, determine if any defenses are available to you, and represent you in court if needed. If you are a landlord, your attorney can ensure that you are in compliance with California eviction laws. Simply visit LegalMatch.com, choose real estate as your category, and enter your zip code. It only takes a few minutes to present your case online and can mean success for your case and your business.